So Ishaq Dar actually spelled out details of what he claimed, or words to the effect, was an intense 80 drone and missile barrage by India in 36 hours that targeted Noor Khan and Shorkot or the Rafiki airbase. Other political leaders, they've given out details of Bulari, that airbase in Sindh that was targeted. Multiple Pakistani veterans, their social media, they've given other details of multiple Air Force casualties in Indian BrahMos missile strikes. But what should one make of the timing and the details of the statements of Pakistani political leadership? Are they putting out that all-powerful Chief of Defence Forces Asim Munir in his place, though rather discreetly and obliquely? Joining me on India First, Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain. He's former Kashmir Corps Commander. Tilak Devashar is former Special Secretary of the Research and Analysis Wing, former member of the National Security Advisory Board. Also with me is Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, and Dr. Tara Kartha is former Director, National Security Council Secretariat. General Hasnain, Pakistan's President Asif Ali Zardari saying his military secretary asked him to rush to a bunker. Is that sheer admission of Pakistan Army's failure, that even the President of Pakistan was not safe during Operation Sindoor? The military secretary knew how weak and vulnerable were Pakistan's air defenses against India?
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for inviting me for your show. Yes, inevitably, once a conflict is over, we always see this. As time goes along, the truth starts getting revealed. We saw this in Kargil. We've seen this on many, many occasions before. So all this time, obfuscation has somehow carried on. Pakistan Armed Forces, the army in particular, has been wanting to make sure that they create the shroud, the entire situation in a kind of a gray zone, so that the world cannot really determine as to what really transpired during this period. It is to their advantage. Usually when a loser, someone who's been defeated, he is the one who will always conspire to do this kind of a thing. We have been made transparent about it. I think we have made it very clear as to what our entire strategy and our doctrine was. We have established very clearly that we initiated it, but escalation was under our control and that termination was our choice. It was not by intervention, it was not by pressure from any third party anywhere in the world. And I think Mr. Zardari's statements seem to be quite transparently pointing towards that.
Okay. Mr. Devashar, your assessment of Asif Zardari and Ishaq Dar's statements about Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Noor Khan, Shorkot being vulnerable or hit during Operation Sindoor, does his statement reflect the panic that prevailed in Pakistan, that they thought Fajr ki namaz, they'll attack after Fajr ki namaz, but India hit first?
Thank you, Gaurav, for having me on your show. You see, one must remember who Zardari is. You know, there's a saying in Pakistan, Ek Zardari sab pe bhari. He's a very astute politician. What he says with a lot of deliberation and a lot of care and with a lot of meaning. And look at the occasion. It was the 18th death anniversary of Benazir Bhutto. His son and daughter were equally there. He had a completely captive audience. Now, the most significant thing which he said was what he told his military secretary. The military secretary said, let's go to the bunker. And he said, if martyrdom is to come, it will come here. Leaders don't die in bunkers. They die on the battlefield. They don't die sitting in bunkers. Now, everybody knows that Asim Munir and most of his army commanders were sitting in bunkers. So what is Zardari's message? That you guys were sitting in bunkers, whereas as commanders, you should have been on the battlefield. And if I have to die, I will die as a martyr, sitting here and not in a bunker. It's a huge slap on the face of Asim Munir. That's one message which Zardari has conveyed very successfully. Then he says, I knew this 4 days ago.
Yes.
Of course, it could be a generalized statement that mujhe pata tha ki India will attack. But if he knew it 4 days ago, what was the Pakistan Air Force doing? That's the second question that he has raised. So one part of his statement is admission and confirmation of what India has been saying about the losses that Pakistan suffered. But the most significant part, as far as I'm concerned, is the domestic value of what he has told the people of Pakistan. And
it's a huge slap, as you say. It's a huge slap across Asim Munir's face. Sushant Sareen, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, because Indian missiles successfully hit Muridke and Bahawalpur, Rafiki, Shorkot, Jacobabad, Rahim Yar Khan, Sakkar, Balari in Sindh. So Pakistan's red lines were repeatedly crossed. Pakistan's Punjab province was repeatedly hit. And except seeking a ceasefire, Asim Munir and the DGMO could do nothing.
So, Gaurav, it was not just Punjab that was hit, it was also Sindh that was hit. We shouldn't forget it. Jacobabad is in Sindh. Karachi, the Malir cantonment, we took out an air radar, one of the radar bases. So, a lot of places were hit across the length and breadth of Pakistan. The point is that the Pakistanis, when they continue to proclaim victory, have not shown a shred of evidence. And incidentally, they seem to believe that everything happened when their Kacha Banyan operation started on the 10th morning and ended within a couple of hours with nothing to show for it. Because on the 10th of May, sorry, when this entire conflict really spiked up, they, if you remember, at 2:33 in the night, their DG ISPR had come out and threatened that now this new massive operation is going to be launched, and that was going to be launched in 1 or 2 hours. And then by about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, they'd run out of steam simply because whatever they threw at us had been taken down, and whatever we threw at them had damaged many air bases, and their command and control systems were affected, and we were ready to scale up. That is when the panic bell started ringing. And don't forget that not just on the 7th early morning when we attacked the 9 terrorist bases, but subsequently on the 7th night, the 8th night, also, we were carrying out operations inside Pakistan and hitting their
Yes.
air defense targets and others places, right? So we had
Chunian,
been hitting
Pasrur,
there.
the
They
fire
had
assault
been
at LC.
the fire assault at LC, you remember? I think it was on the 7th morning or the 8th morning that we saw there was a drone strike not just in Lahore, but there was also in Rawalpindi near that
Yes.
cricket
Cricket
stadium over
stadium.
there. Uh, right. So all of this was happening. Now, almost like Pakistan is a schizophrenic country, which it is. I think the whole country needs to go into a psychiatric ward. But the fact is that they suffer from schizophrenia because
Yes.
they simply have blanked out the memories of where they were hit. They have manufactured memories of where they thought they've hit us and not provided a shred of evidence to back their claims, because they say they hit some 25 Indian air bases. They have not produced a single picture with any degree of credibility to show that they
True.
actually caused any kind of damage on any Indian airbase or any
True.
Indian military establishment. And then the excuse they give is that, the foreign commercial satellite guys will not part with this information. But even their Chinese brothers in arms who have their satellites hovering over India have not given them any image simply because there is no image to give. So,
Oh,
the lies
absolutely.
they've
Absolutely.
been peddling for.
Stay with me, because their own are exposing them, not just their political leaders, because perhaps Asif Zardari and Ishaq Dar they're actually striking, kill by 1,000 cuts. Dr. Tara Kartha, any army would be hugely embarrassed with the kind of statements that are coming out. For example, this retired air marshal who concedes fatalities, losses of an advanced early warning command and control aircraft at Bolari, Sindh. The extent of damage in Pakistan can no longer be denied by the terror state or their ecosystem, whether in India or in different parts of the world.
Absolutely, Gaurav. Thank you for having me on your show. The I mean, the point you raised, I think, is very important. Why are they saying this now? This is politicians are very shrewd at saying the message this has to be conveyed at what time and for what reason. So Zardari's, as they said earlier, Zardari has his own. He's a very smart guy. This Mishakdar is well, he's got his problems. But the fact of the matter is, you've got, and can you think what they are going through? You've got Asim Munir kind of, he's hogging the entire show. Wherever he goes, it's Asim Munir to the front. I'm told the UAE president, somebody recently came, went and met him. When you go to the US, it's Munir up front, Nawaz Sharif apologetically at the back. So
Shabash, yeah.
these guys have probably, I mean, sorry, Shahbaz Sharif at the back. So They probably had enough of this. And especially when they know, I mean, Noor Khan is Islamabad. It's,
Yes.
Chaklal based. If you bomb it, you can hear it in Islamabad. So can you imagine what kind of, the fury within these people? After all, it's their country. And that
Yes.
bases were attacked. And this guy goes around saying nothing happened. And that he's
True.
turned the whole story on its head. So a lot of people in the know in Pakistan are going to be pretty furious. I think they've had about enough. That's one point.
Because the Awam knows they've been hit through and through by the Indian Armed Forces. General Hasnain, you're a soldier. You wear the uniform. In any country, sir, if 9 locations were hit on day 1, then multiple holes are punched through their air defense system on day 2, from POJK to Punjab to Melir cantonment in Karachi, Sindh, and then 11 air bases are bombed. Would the air chief be sent home or the army chief be sent home in disgrace? Or will they promote themselves and proclaim victory?
Well, obviously, Pakistan, you know what the position of the army in Pakistan is. And what definitely helps them tremendously is their very, very practiced doctrine of denial. You see, denial is a weapon, no doubt, lots of nations use. But Pakistan has perfected this in a very, very focused way. You saw this happening in Kargil. You've seen this in various operations in Jammu and Kashmir. Each time, speak in 2 different languages, have different spokesmen speak different things, have different political parties speak different things. This is an overall strategy. In fact, this is a Chinese strategy of gray zone itself, to create an obfuscated kind of a situation where no one in the world can guess what really has happened. And so, as I said in my first intervention to you, now slowly what is happening is that people are finding the courage to come out. At that time, the threat of someone being branded a traitor and things like that, when the situation was very hot, was there very much. But today, now you're finding these kind of cleavages taking place between the political community and the military community. And as very correctly pointed out, obviously Munir is in a bit of a spot as far as the political community is concerned. Wherever they can find a situation, they will point a finger at him. And this is a huge finger being pointed at him.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is Asif Munir being hung out to dry by both Zardari and Ishaq Dar. Now, have they just struck the first knife into him? Will there be other leaders who will now perhaps every other day strike another knife until he bleeds by 1,000 cuts? Mr. Deveshwar, any civilized country, both the army and the air chief would have been sent home. The navy chief should have been booked for cowardice in Pakistan with their warships seeking refuge in civilian harbors next to merchant vessels. But in Pakistan, it's a country that's been bombed through and through, and it's celebrating victory that never was. What kind of sick, mad mindset does this reflect?
No, I think Atha put it well. They have perfected the art of denial. You see, you proclaim victory, and the textbooks already are, the school textbooks have already been revised to show that Pakistan won a stunning victory.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now, people would have forgotten the details, like in the case of 65. 65 has been a victory in the textbooks of Pakistan because India was not able to take Lahore or able to undo partition. So it's a victory.
Very good point. India must learn to take territory. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is exactly what they're doing now because, they've already revised the textbook so quickly, saying so for them it's a victory. But the people are beginning to realize, not only these two admissions, there are YouTubers sitting abroad. In fact, one of the reasons why this former ex-army officer Adil Raja has been put on the terrorist list, he had a program, I think last week or 10 days ago, and he went through the details of the Indian strikes of the various airfields and the air defense systems, etc. That must have really hurt Pakistan Air Force and Pakistan Army a lot because he single-handedly demolished the entire narrative which had been so built up by Pakistan over the last 7 and 8 months. He just demolished it. And no wonder there was an attack on his house and he's been declared now a terrorist. Truth will out.
No, and no one. It remains to be seen whether Britain will hand him over to Pakistan as Pakistan wants. In return of taking back those grooming gang rapists from
Exactly.
Britain, they say also hand over Adil and certain others. But Sushant Sareen, there are analysts. There are analysts who ask, is Pakistan a zinda qaum? Can anyone dare question the army chief who claims victory when his defeat or Pakistan armed forces defeat is visible to the world? Pakistan's Punjab province, their red line, was breached at will by India. Not once, but at least half a dozen times. And as you rightly pointed out, from POJK to Sindh, I mean, just look at the places hit in Pakistan's Punjab and beyond. Murid Ke, Bahawalpur, Noor Khan, Shorkot, Sargoda, Pasroor, Chunian, Bulari in Sindh, Malir cantonment in Sindh, Jacobabad, Sakkar. Look at the number of places that have been hit. And Pakistan claims victory.
Yeah, Gaurav, देखो, simple thing. The Pakistani Punjabi uh, becomes alive and becomes a zinda qaum when there is no danda over his head. Until then, he's like a scared little rabbit slinking in his hole and talking in salons and in private gatherings. They cannot come out in the open. So please don't expect it. This is not a country where you have people coming out and challenging the army. You showed the clip of that air marshal who was revealing what all had happened on the 10th. There is no way you can access that clip in Pakistan. It's been wiped clean.
Yep.
Apparently, the journalist who interviewed him has been arrested or has a couple of cases slapped against him. I can show you any number of people. So, Mr. Deveshwar just mentioned Adil Raja's case, but there are plenty of other cases like this where people have challenged this narrative and they've thrown the book at them. First. Secondly, please also remember that this is also a question of political survival of the regime. So yes, you can take some pot shots and you can give some hints that look, we know what happened on that day. But do you think can Shabaz Sharif or Ishaq Dar is nothing but a clerk.
Yep.
But can these characters can they come out openly and challenge the army? Because if you replace Asim Munir, who is propping up this regime, then this regime falls. This regime did not win an election. Shabaz
True.
Sharif and others lost their own election. They are in power because of the army. They will hang together or they will, stick together. There is no way out for them. So they both will
Okay.
survive for as long as they can. And the resistance to Asim Munir will come from within the army, which is the traditional thing. Remember one thing. After 1971, the debacle of Dhaka, you had Yahya Khan still harboring the belief that he could continue to rule over Pakistan. And he might
Yes.
have gotten away with it had there not been a rebellion within the army, refusing to accept him, and young
True.
officers standing up and abusing these fellows. Currently, they've put the clamp down, they've clamped down on everybody. Nobody can say anything. And there is also the angle, how do you admit defeat before India? With
Well,
all that
on
Islamic
India today,
supremacism in
on India
Pakistan,
Today, we'll
how do you
continue
admit
to put
defeat
out
when you
all these videos again and again and again, and of course on our social media platforms. But Dr. Tara Kartha, this actually reflects a rather deranged mindset, if I may. That question that I asked, is Pakistan a zinda qaum? Because look at their losses, not just in terms of to their prestige or air bases or terrorist organizations, but air power. From F-16s to JF-17s to AEWNC, early warning command and control system in the air and on ground, the C-130 Hercules, the mid-air refueler, these are all major losses for any air power, and yet they all promote themselves. The people in Pakistan must be really stupid to accept all of this and celebrate, because it's not, like the three musketeers, one for all for one. This is just one musketeer, all for Asim Munir.
No, I'm glad you asked that question. I just want to say one thing. These guys have started every single war. I mean, that is on a book written by a retired Pakistan Air Marshal, that every war was started by Pakistan,
Yes.
including Kargil later. Have they won a single war? No, not one. In a proper battle, they don't win. But the problem is, Gaurav, that makes this particular man that much more dangerous. He knows he hasn't won. His immediate coterie also knows that they've suffered badly. Now, the question is what they'll get up to next. And that is, well, we're seeing some of that in Bangladesh. The extent of control you're seeing in Pakistan, not a single protest despite the Gaza decision. I mean, virtual decision, they're nearly there. I mean, you had months and months and months of millions of people on the streets, and suddenly there's no protests. This guy has got an iron control over the country. I
Okay.
have never seen anything like this. So he's extremely dangerous. And I think we should really watch out for what's going to come up, and it could be in a very gray zone kind of an issue.
Okay. Of course, India's made one thing very clear: a terrorist attack or anything that's done, there's no difference between any non-state or state actor because they're all terrorists in Pakistan. That's very clear.